Hello there everyone and welcome. My name is Waffles the Asian Yenber and today we're here to talk about stage 49 of Super Battle Road, the All-Out Struggle stage. And it's a little bit of a struggle, maybe not an all-out struggle with some of these tips, but it is going to be a little bit of a struggle, mostly because the category is a little bit limited, just a teeny bit. Possibly. So I would say it's going to be a little tough. We'll get into it. We'll of course talk about some of the units you should be bringing, some of the units you should maybe avoid, and some of the units you can bring just for damage, as well as just quickly we'll talk about items and your strategy for how you're going to handle these stages. But before we get into all of that, make sure to like the video. If you enjoyed this kind of content, leave a subscribe. Just click the subscribe button if you want to subscribe. That'd be pretty cool. We're trying to make our way up to 3,000 subs, and I think as of recording this, we're 80 away, something like that. So hey, I don't know where we'll be once this video actually goes up, but if you want to help me along that way, that'd be pretty cool. I make Dokkan content and guides. That's pretty nice. But let's get into this. Of course, all-out struggle, you got 2 enemies per stage. And I found that for me, the 3rd stage was the biggest problem with STR Gohan just because of the physical leader. Now, I will say here, the name of the game is going to be to debuff. A lot of your units are going to have lower attack. So you're going to want to use an item first turn, then debuff your enemies just to lower their attack and get into a position where you can start tanking hits a little bit better. Now, of course, you should be running the LR, but there is one other leader you can use here, Int Future Gohan. You can run a very specific Bonds of Master and Disciples team, and we'll talk about that. But I highly recommend running the LR, and that's what we're going to focus on today. The LR is still pretty decent, and you're going to be able to just automatically find a friend lead because you can bring the one the AI gives you. Of course, the AI one doesn't have any hidden potential, so you want to bring one from an actual human being if possible. But worst case scenario, you will always be able to actually have this leader here. So we are going to use the lowers attack just to try to debuff your enemies. Of course, you want to give them rainbow key spheres because that's how they work. The more rainbow key spheres, the better. And you want to give them literally just as many key spheres as possible so that their defense could get up a little bit more. Now, when it comes to their active skill here, you can use it if you are safe for that turn, meaning as long as the LR is not going to be getting hit by an attack that turn, or maybe it's only getting hit by one attack, or maybe the unit's almost dead, and then it's fine. Because the active skill is going to be very good for your offense, but very, very bad for your defense with this unit. So be very careful when you're using the active skill, but overall they are pretty straightforward. Another unit though that I want to talk about, which thankfully we're on JP for this, LR Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta. His revival mechanic is going to be really, really helpful, but also this part right here. Damage reduced received by 10% plus additional damage reduction up to 30% with each attack received in the same turn, which means he is going to make for a very good slot 1 unit. You throw him in the first slot, let him tank those hits, he's going to get his damage reduction up and he'll be absolutely fine. I think up to 40% damage reduction. He's going to be taking hits pretty darn well, especially if you've debuffed or especially if you're using an item. So main thing here, first turn on all these stages, make sure you're using an item. Of course, you can use Whis, Icarus, Princess Snake, Android 8, and Chi-Chi. You can even use some other stuff, but I use Android 8, Princess Snake, Whis, and Icarus for mine. First stage, I'm using Icarus. Second stage, I think I also use Icarus. And then third stage, I use both my Whis. So that's probably what I did. You'll be able to see it on the corner over there. I just haven't added it to my layout there because it looks a little bit smoother when I add it in post. But that is going to be those items you can use. Other units you should consider bringing. This free-to-play physical LR Master Roshi is fantastic for this event. The great chance to stun is very, very helpful. 70% chance to stun is going to really help you. And if you happen to get his ultra super attack, well, 628% attack for 1 turn is going to mean you'll do a lot of damage. And you'll be able to seal super attack still, so you're not going to you'll still be able to hinder your enemy units. But I would actually recommend going more for his normal super attack. Mostly because you won't link very well, but secondly because that great chance to stun is going to be extremely helpful. It's one of the reasons Int Gotenks is so helpful at Super Battle Road. This is going to be your Int Gotenks, except buffer and taller, and he's got a beard. It'll be a little bit different. Gotenks with a beard is not a thing, unfortunately, but His revival mechanic. Turtle School. You need to have 2 or more Turtle School allies on the team. Now that's actually going to be a little bit difficult to do. So I would not rely too much on his revival mechanic here. Instead, you're going to focus more on using Int Super Saiyan Blue's revival mechanic if you need it. Ideally, you don't need it, but if you do, you should use it from there. Another unit to consider bringing, unfortunately, he's not a Turtle School TN, which makes me very sad, but this TN here greatly lowers attack and defense. If you have the support TN, he can be pretty darn good and he'll help you with all your debuffing. So that's great. I would say bring Tech TN if you got him. Now, another unit that we can use here, and we can talk again about his team, Int Future Gohan is going to be defensive enough to take a hit, and you're probably going to get under 58% at some point, and so you'll get that extra 58% damage reduction, and then he'll really be able to tank a hit. So Int Future Gohan is a unit I would consider bringing if you've got him. And of course, you can run him under Bonza Master and Disciple. And if we just take a look at some of the overlap here, I think it was what you run. Gosh, I don't even remember right now. We'll take a look and I'll edit it in right now. Here are the crossover units you can use. LR Int Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta. Physical LR Master Roshi. Of course, Int Future Gohan. That's just the category. You can run AGL Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta, which I don't actually recommend running, but if you need to, you can. You can run this Tech Master Roshi, who is going to be okay. Not ideal, but he'll be okay. You can also run a physical Super Saiyan Gohan. We'll talk about him as well. You can run LR AGL Gohan. I believe he is on both, so I just check out. Yep, All-Out Struggle. So those are going to be the units you have to choose from. Hopefully you got 6 of those if you don't have the LR Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku and Super Saiyan Blue Evolution Vegeta. But let's get into talking a little bit more about that physical future Gohan, because that physical future Gohan is actually one I would recommend bringing. I don't personally like this unit. I don't, unfortunately, but he is helpful in this event, specifically for this. Raises defense up to 100%, the less HP remaining, the greater the defense boost. So he is going to be able to tank relatively well. Damage received at the start of every turn up to 50%. That's going to be very helpful. So, of course, first turn, you're taking a good amount of damage. Most is a good amount of being a bad amount because it's just a lot. But you're going to be taking a lot of damage on the first turn of each stage. But if you give him a little bit of time to build up, once he gets 20% damage reduction, 30% damage reduction, and assuming you're going to be kind of low HP here, yeah, he'll be okay. He'll be fine. You can bring him, the extra defense, helpful. Otherwise, just float him. He'll be still just a decent filler unit if you got nothing else. So when it comes to units that you can bring just for damage, I would say bring LR, Goku, and Frieza. Now, LR, Goku, and Frieza, after their EZA, they're going to be decent. They will lower attack, which is helpful for the debuffing, but they are going to be hit pretty hard by the enemy before you debuff them. So I would say bring them, but bring them as a floater. I would not recommend bringing them on a main rotation, but they will still put out decent damage, and so I would consider bringing them just for that. Int LR Gohan, as of recording this, his EZA is not out, but we know the details, and so as of recording this, I can say you probably should bring Int LR Gohan. He'll have decent defense and give good damage. So I would say, yeah, Int LR Gohan is going to be fine to bring just because of his extra defense. Of course, make sure you're not putting him in the first slot because he needs to do his super attack before he gets that extra defense. But that extra defense does help him out a lot for 149% plus, EZA LR stats. So he will be a little bit decent. Other units to consider here, Tech LR Gohan is going to also be a pretty decent unit to bring. Tech LR Gohan, you got to give him orbs. He is still going to take a decent amount of damage. Unfortunately, his defense is not the best, but if you give him orbs, he is going to be hitting very, very hard. Now, you're maybe wondering why I haven't mentioned AGL LR Gohan, and he goes in this slot as well. You would think he's probably going to be pretty tanky, but on JP, my AGL LR Gohan is free dupe, and using a free dupe LR AGL Gohan, he does not tank well enough before he starts building up his defense, which means first turn, he will be the reason you die. So make sure if you bring AGL LR Gohan, you put him as a floater or you make sure he stacks before he gets hit. He is not going to tank as well as you might expect, but he's still a decent unit you can bring for damage, and he'll be okay for, tanking hits and things like that if you actually use an item and you build him up. Now, we talked a little bit about AGL Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta. You can bring him. Again, I don't recommend it just because his defense is going to be pretty low early on, and he's, even with items, going to take pretty big damage. But if you want to use him just for damage and you protect him, yeah, he's going to be pretty decent. One unit, though, which I did not expect to actually be good in this one, but he was a really, really helpful unit for me, was STR Kaioken Blue Goku. He's very fragile. You need to protect him like your life depends on it. You cannot let him try to take these attacks to try to build up his defense. No, do not do that. But his Spirit Bomb is actually very, very helpful to finish off one of those enemies, which makes it so then Master Roshi can then get those stuns on just whatever the last unit is. And so you can just infinitely stun lock whatever that last unit is, and then you'll be fine. So I'd say he's decent to bring if you protect him like your life depends on it. Do not let him get hit too much. Don't try to let him build up. He will count as a Turtle School unit, so if you want to bring one other Turtle School unit, yeah, that does help. For example, you could bring Tech Roshi. Tech Roshi on turn 1 is going to have 0 defense. So be very, very careful. You get a guaranteed stun, you get attack 628%, and you get a guaranteed crit. But you need to position him correctly. If you put him in a slot where he's going to take hits from 2 different enemies, you are going to have a very, very bad time. So what you do instead is you put him in a slot, let's say the 2nd slot or the 3rd slot, probably the 3rd slot. You put him there, you stun whatever unit is going to be hitting Master Roshi, and then you'll be fine. You'll get a good 1 big hit against it. Then after that, Roshi's just going to be defense 50% and sealing. So after the first turn, Roshi's not really going to help you out that much, but the sealing can still be helpful later on. Just, again, be very careful with Roshi's positioning here. If you bring the Roshi, be very, very careful. Now, one unit I expected to be actually decent, but was pretty bad here, was AGL Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta. So it's kind of the same thing we talked about with the Kaioken Goku, where you need to be able to build up his defense. The problem is that this event is not going to give you the time to actually do that. You're going to be hit pretty hard on this guy, even with items, before you start building. So you're going to be in kind of a bad situation here, which means I think do not bring this unit. I think in other Super Battle Roads, he was fine, but this one hits too hard for this unit to be good. So I would not bring him. That's mainly the one thing I would recommend not bringing. A lot of the other units, you guys know some units that are bad. This guy here, you could bring him for Turtle School. He'll be okay in that scenario, but he's not going to get his Vegeta's family thing. You're going to need to give him tech orbs. And of course, he needs time to stack defense. Same thing as with LR AGL Gohan. So you really would have to protect him early on, which is the problem. You don't want to be really having to do that. Super Saiyan 4 Goku over here, he's not going to, even after he builds up, he's not going to tank very well. So Super Saiyan 4 Goku, I would not bring. Other units to really consider here, those are really the big ones that I wanted to talk about. A lot of the other ones are just kind of so-so. I would say this Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta is okay. You could bring him if you want, but again, it's kind of that situation where just, protect him, but he'll put out good damage if you do want to bring him, if you do have him. Of course, I don't have him, so I can't check that. I would not bring physical Bardock. He can seal, but he's not going to be he's going to be too fragile. So Super Saiyan or normal Bardock here, the physical one, is not going to be a good choice. So don't bring him. And then I think that's pretty much everything. So that's where I'm going to wrap it up today. Of course, we will be back with stage 48 next time right here, rapid growth. I'm in the middle of working on the rapid growth guide over there. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. I actually don't know when I'm going to upload it, but it'll be sometime next week. So hopefully you'll like that, and hopefully you have a good day, a good week, a good life. I'm going to get out of here before I keep rambling. Goodbye. Jazz hands.